It is my great honor to introduce our guest speaker today. Donna Benton is here from USC. She's a research associate professor of gerontology, and she's also the director of the Caregiver Support Center for USC. She's been working supporting caregivers for over 30 years. Please, everybody, help me welcome Ms. Donna Benton.
Well, thank you. First of all, let me thank Karen Ortiz, and the Lompoc Valley Medical Center Family Caregiver Support Network for inviting me to this celebration of family caregivers. Now, since November is National Family Caregiver Month, I really love going to celebrations because, well, you know, it often involves food. So, in my experience, caregivers really find it hard and almost impossible at times to accept thanks for what you do. You know, you'll say, oh, it's just what anybody would do for their family, or what am I supposed to do, ignore them? What am I going to, you know, just turn my back on my family? No. So when people tell you, oh, gee, thanks for doing this, you tend to downplay your role as a family caregiver. Clearly, I'm trying to get to the next page. Well, but very few of you kind of think of yourselves, first of all, even as caregivers. And you know, I always think, why is that? Why don't we see ourselves as a daughter and a caregiver? Or why don't we self-identify as a caregiver? And so I always think that maybe the answer could really lie in understanding what, when I was reading a book by Edward Sneak, he called it the soul of caregiving. And in this book, he said that caregivers are doing so out of their soul. But we have to understand, what does that soul mean to everybody? Now, I'm a psychologist, so I like to do that. Have you ever done something where you say, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear a word? So I'm going to ask you all to play that game with me right now. So when I say the word soul, just shout out the first word that comes to mind when I say soul. Oh, okay. Soul. Soul train. Okay. Soul food. Soul what?
Spirit.
Soul spirit.
Mate.
Soul mate.
Sister.
Soul sister. Yeah, we have all kinds of other words that we link with that word soul. And so let me start with the term soulmate. What's a soulmate? Somebody maybe who when you're around them, you just kind of lose all sense of time and space. Somebody who when you're with them, you feel that you're one. There's no separation of yourself from that person who's your soulmate. And then when you hear the word soul food, I heard somebody say soul food. What does that make you think about? Family, comfort. It's something that takes you back to your roots and to tradition. And of course, during this month of Thanksgiving, that's really, we think about the meal, and it becomes like soul food for us because of the traditions and rituals that we recall around this time of year and around that meal. So we have soul food. And then soul music. Now, I'm not going to go soul train, but we're going to do soul music. And what is soul music? That's really that music that really leads you, maybe at times, to be very contemplative. Maybe it leads you to be silent for a little while. Or it could be music that, when it reaches you, you really just find yourself lost in dance. Or it makes you feel at one with just about everyone around you. You can just dance and just joy because that music has gotten into you. And so that might be soul music. But then there's the other thing. And I don't think anyone said this, but there's the term soul searching. Have you ever thought about what it is to search your soul? Taking time to really look at an issue and maybe find a new perspective or understanding when we do that soul searching. When we search our soul, it means that we're going to look deep within ourselves. And for a while, when you're doing soul searching, you actually have to separate yourself from others. And in that separation, when we're being part of ourselves, we also have to do a little self-care. It's not the same as being with your soulmate, who you might be caring for. But when we do soul searching, we actually are going to be taking time to do a little bit of self-care, self-reflection. We have to be alone with ourselves for a little while and listen to what we're thinking and feeling. But before you can get to that self-care, you have to deal with those. When we're doing this deep soul searching, we actually have to deal with some of the feelings and beliefs that may stop you from getting to that place where you can really fully explore your soul. Because the feelings that come up may frighten you. But when we're trying to search and reach inside ourselves, and we really get to the soul of ourself and do this self-exploration, it would allow you to connect back to the values that underlie your reasons for being a caregiver. So sometimes we kind of avoid soul searching because we don't want to think about or feel what we mistakenly label as negative emotions. They frighten us. And and I say it's a mistake to say something is a negative emotion, because really feelings are a normal response to a situation, neither good nor bad. So sometimes, if during our search we find that we feel a little angry or frustrated when we're caring for somebody, well, that's normal. I mean, you probably also, during your soul search, will find that at times you can feel love or happiness and a sense of completion. Now, if when we do this search, we try to suppress our feelings, well, that's when we have trouble. You know, one day, I always remember this very vividly. There was a time when a friend, close friend, I was kind of walking around and she came up to me and she says, "What's going on with you?" Now, on that day, I really was struggling with something, and it was really particularly difficult. But I didn't want to deal with her. So I said, and even though she could tell probably in my face or my tone of voice during that time, my answer to her was, "Oh, nothing's going on. I'm fine. I am fine." And you know, without missing a beat, she said to me, "Oh, you're fine? You know what that stands for?" I'm like, "What?" "No." She goes, "Feelings inside not expressed." FINE. You're not fine. And she said, "You need to do something. You need to look at yourself." And she nailed it. She knew that at that moment, I needed to do some self-reflection or soul searching. She could just feel it. So feelings are really there for a reason. And our feelings are there to be a tool for our own self-understanding, and therefore they are really valuable to us. And on a basic level, they really let us know when we feel we're in danger or when we feel secure. I mean, if we didn't have these kind of automatic feelings, we wouldn't be here as a human race. It saved us from, going in into a dark cave, just look, I'm gonna go see what's in this cave, and get eaten by a bear. That's what our feelings allow us to say, oh, something's wrong, and sometimes it makes us feel that something's right. So if we didn't feel love, we wouldn't have future generations, or we couldn't build communities. So we need to not suppress feelings, we need to embrace feelings and know that, let's not label them so much, negative, positive, but try to learn from them and know and understand, why am I feeling that way? Because feelings, well, they're changeable. They change based on your situation. I mean, can you think of a situation when, if you're feeling rested and relaxed, you might react with laughter, but when you're tired and tense, that same situation might create a feeling of anger. So for example, if you go in and you're trying to get somebody who's getting rest, and your relative comes out and they're wearing their socks on their hand, if you're feeling rested, you might think, ooh, sock puppets, great day, and just laugh it off. But when you're tired, what might you say to yourself? You can just get angry at the person. You might think, oh, God, I'm gonna take these socks off and put them somewhere else. So it's the same situation, but it's a very different reaction. So our feelings are changeable, and they're based in our perception and actually our overall health at that moment. Different emotions, different perspective, different reactions, different feelings. But in both situations, the important thing is that we have to allow ourselves to feel, not suppress our feelings. Because if we smother our feelings, well, we in turn really begin to suffocate our soul and move further from our own values. Because that's how we understand our values, is by looking into our soul and doing that soul searching. So I want to give you a little exercise to do while you're sitting here to kind of help you self-reflect. So get comfortable, and we're just going to take a minute to do some deep breathing. So you actually don't have to look at me for a while. I know this dress is stunning. Flowers, huh?
Yeah.
No, thank you. Everyone's complimenting me, but thank you anyway. See, I know how to say thank you sometimes. Turn around, close your eyes, get comfortable in your seat. Close your eyes. And I want you to breathe in through your nose. With a count of 3. And then breathe out through your mouth. So you're going to go in and let it out. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I want you to do it again. Really take in a deep breath. Hold it to the count of 3. Feel your chest fill up. Take the breath from down in your diaphragm and let it out. And take another cleansing breath. A little more. Down to 3. And let it out. Feel your shoulders. Let it out. And feel yourself relax in the chair. Now just breathe normally. But concentrate on each breath. Feel the air as it goes in your nostrils and comes out through your mouth. Make sure you make a sound. Let your breath out. Concentrate on your breath. In and out.
children come out.